First item on the agenda is for the opening prayer, which is going to be led by Sarah Klassen.
Awesome! Thank you, God, for today, for everybody gathered here today with our hearts filled with love and gratitude for our great nation, Canada. Thank you, God. We ask you, God, we ask you, Jesus, to be with all of us here today, people watching live streams on the internet, people that are here in spirit. Oh, God, be with all of us. And we ask that you would continue to have your mighty, mighty hand of protection on all the citizens of our mighty nation. Protect our country, Lord. Protect our families, our kids. Protect the future generations to come right in my womb. Protect them all, God. And may we be a country where we stand with glowing hearts. We stand in glorious truth and freedom. And God, be with our leaders in our cities, in our provinces, in this nation. And God, be with our leaders and leadership in all areas to stand up for our freedoms and our rights, and our leaders to make decisions based on the facts. God, thank you, Jesus. We stand on the truth, and we thank you, God, that you have your hand, your loving and mighty hand on our great nation, Canada.
Thank you to every single one of you who have taken the time here on a long weekend in Winnipeg to join us here. Thank you from every Canadian who looks forward to the future with eager anticipation rather than trepidation.
Amen.
Thank you for exercising your Section 2 charter rights, which includes freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. Your charter rights, like everything else in life, wither and die if you do not exercise them. Thank you for giving me hope to pass my dreams of a golden future to those who are yet to come. You know, this country has seen wars before, but nothing like this one. And at war we most certainly are. But a war unlike any other that we've experienced in Canada. I want to share a little bit of family history with you concerning World War I. World War I started in Europe in the summer of 1914. In 1915, my grandfather, and in 1916, my great-grandfather answered the call from here in Winnipeg. When he signed up, my great-grandfather was already 52 years of age. He was well past the age where they would allow him to sign up. But somehow, magically, he became 45 again on his papers, and off to England he went. It's too bad he wasn't here. I'd ask him that trick. He served in Europe until the spring of 1918 when he was injured and shipped home. That was my great-grandfather. My grandfather was injured twice in World War I as well, but he stayed until the end. I'm sure many of your families have similar stories of heroism in the face of danger. And so I think it would be an informative thing to talk about what war was like in 1914 and what is it like today. What are we facing today and how does it compare? In 1914, there was a formal declaration of war, and each of the two sides came out in the open to fight. In 1914, the enemy came without Canada, not from within. In 1914, our country was united. All Canadians and all Canadians' institutions fought together as one. In 1914, millions of soldiers died in horrible, unbelievable conditions, and that memory scarred our nation. But what about today? What war am I speaking about today in 2022 on this beautiful sunny day? Today, our entire country, our way of life, our future is at stake, just like it was in 1914. The war was started years ago with no formal declaration. The enemy looks like us, lives amongst us, and is very, very patient. Most of us did not even notice the creeping menace that was attacking us. They infiltrated our schools, our government agencies, our institutions. They even infiltrated our police. They slowly infiltrated our media, our churches, every aspect of our lives. In fact, this insane genocidal philosophy has spread across the world. They have tried every way imaginable to divide us against ourselves. They tried using race, color, creed, religion, language, sex, just about every other method to pit us against each other. They told us over and over again how we were not worthy of redemption. When that did not work, they tried to terrorize us with a series of false global catastrophes. I'm a little older, so I remember some of these more than you might. They started with predicting an ice age. You remember that? Yeah. Then they went to global warming. Yeah. Then they went to holes in the ozone layer. Yeah. When that narrative didn't work, they came up with the new all-encompassing super-duper climate hoax. I remember in the 1970s, How they told us we're running out of petroleum and our entire way of life would be doomed in just a few years.
Yeah, I remember that.
By the way, we still have plenty of petroleum to this very day. Canada, I think, has got the second largest reserves of petroleum in the world. You know what? Canadians didn't buy their never-ending prophecies of doom and disaster, bent on terrorizing and turning the population on each other. So they tried the new, latest thing, COVID-19. Mysteriously emanating from a laboratory in China and with the enthusiastic support of an all too eager and all too gullible corporate press. They successfully convinced the majority of people, not just in Canada, but around the world, that this was real and only the government had a solution to your crisis. To be saved from this fictitious disaster, all you had to do was sign over every aspect of your life to an all-knowing, all-seeing, centralized government. They canceled scientific research. They censored opposing medical opinions. They eliminated all dissenting speech and mandated and monitored every aspect of every citizen in this country. To add insult to injury, I'm not reading this. To add insult to injury, did you guys see the story the other day? The ArriveCAN app is the most loved app on the internet right now?
Love, love, love.
They alienated you. They threatened you. They cut off your ability to earn a living and to live your life according to your own conscience and convictions. They caused the sad and cruel death of thousands of lonely seniors and disrupted every social system required to sustain a healthy society. They used hate and hateful speech to try and ferment violence against a very exposed and identifiable group of people in this country. I remind you of these words, and I pray that you do not forget these words. They do not believe in science, who are often misogynist, often racist too. It is a sect, a small group, who are taking up space. And here we have a choice to make as leader of this country, said Trudeau. So I ask you, what choice was Prime Minister Trudeau talking about when he was talking about us taking up space?
Useless leaders.
He was purposely dehumanizing millions of Canadians. And once dehumanized, these people could be dealt with by any means. After all, they're only taking up space. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
The last time this happened en masse, an advanced and prosperous people were convinced to hate, isolate, and eventually murder neighbors in the millions. Do not forget Mr. Trudeau's words. He's a forgettable person, but do not forget Mr. Trudeau's words. Where was the investigation into these hate-filled words? We have laws that compel speech. We have laws that tell you can't use hate speech, but they don't quite define what that is. I would think that I'm taking up space and they have to make a decision of what to do with me is hate speech, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
When the truth started to come out, they came up with even more terrifying delusions that they deliberately and systematically implemented around the world. They have created an energy crisis. Just 2 years ago, there were none. They have tried to create fear over new pandemics, monkeypox, and now polio. They have created an economic crisis, inflation, shortages, high taxes. They are reducing our global production of food to purposely create shortages and starvation. They have intruded on every aspect of your life, from what you think, what you feel, how or who you worship, even right down to taking away your parental rights in the name of the state. They are now monitoring you, everything you do. When I first started to get involved in this group, I was into it for about 2 weeks when the City of Winnipeg police Major Crimes Unit phoned me at home and started to question me, which was interesting because a week before they had just told some retired Winnipeg police officers who had delivered our report to them that they couldn't take evidence from Mr. Drysdale because I am not a resident of the city of Winnipeg. So how are they on the phone asking me for evidence on something I obviously did not know anything about? There are cameras on just about every street corner in our country. They monitor your spending. They're trying to create a global system of electronic currency that they control. So you did something wrong. So now your electronic currency card won't work at the gas station or buy your groceries. That's happened in China. You have little privacy and choice now. Soon you will have none. This is happening. That's just perfect. Gives me a chance to get my friend. This is happening globally. The reason it's happening globally is many countries in the world are rudderless and helpless to resist. Our own so-called leader is a hapless puppet with no experience, no wisdom, and most of all, no love for Canada and its people. You're taking up space, says the trust fund part-time art teacher. Does that sound familiar? I can think of another. With drama this time. I guess that's an art form. Have you ever heard Trudeau express his love for this country and all of its people? Does he lead and inspire you, or does he create division and hate? Other countries are facing similar or worse situations with their impotent, senile, ancient leaders or the bewildered fools leading from polls, fear, and globalist edicts. How did this happen?
Mass formation.
The reasons are many, ranging from a complete indoctrination of our youth to the complete lack of any type of competent leadership at all levels, complemented by a distracted and apathetic population.
Right. Wake up!
Corruption has never been so rampant and so obvious. They tried to break apart the very fabric of our society, and they almost succeeded. At this moment, we do not know how many lives have been and will be lost to this insane agenda.
Many. Too many.
With looming nuclear war, the threat of starvation, economic ruin, and the possibility of additional lab leaks, deaths in this war may reach billions worldwide. The global madness cannot be allowed to continue. Now is the time to say it has to stop. Now is the time to take action. With the help of everyone here today and the millions of Canadians who are only now waking up to this stark and terrifying reality, we will win. We will take back our fundamental rights. We will win back our God-given right to exist as free people, free to think as we like, free to say and feel what we feel. We will win back our own personal sovereignty as citizens of Canada. You know, some months ago, we started a movement with 5 people who felt something was wrong. We prepared a database report which proved the fraud that had been perpetrated on the people of Canada by its own very own government. Humbly, we submitted our work to the police services in Manitoba and asked these institutions of the people, these institutions that exist for the sole purpose of protecting us, the people, we asked them to carry out an investigation. But the corruption that had touched all other aspects of our society had not spared the police services. To date, no such investigation has been initiated, no arrests have been made, and no trials are underway. Funny how our national police force has already launched an investigation into someone who had the temerity to utter words towards one of the ruling class. Words. He uttered words, and the RCMP are investigating.
She deserved every one of those words.
When we prepared the report, what we had not realized was that hundreds of thousands of people throughout Canada would seek out copies of that report and start distributing it across the nation. I get hundreds of emails from across the country, from coast to coast, telling me what their stories are. And the responses from the police services of Canada are varied widely. The movement organically started to grow on its own, and it spread across the country. Every member of Parliament, every member of the Senate, every police service in the country has been served with copies of this report. Not just once, but hundreds of times. Not just by email, but by post, by registered mail, delivered by hand, delivered by courier. Copies of the reports are being dropped off at medical professionals, schools, church, businesses, and every institution in Canada. The report has been downloaded and copied 250,000 times. And copies have and are being sent to every institution in every province and territory in Canada. Hundreds of thousands of people have been mobilized in this effort, and the numbers are growing each day. The country, now awakening from a restless sleep, faces the terrifying reality, the living nightmare that has engulfed us all. The citizens of this country are demanding action, and the level of anger and frustration is mounting. So that brings us to today. Right now, here in front of the RCMP headquarters in Manitoba. We are here to demand that the RCMP fulfill their function as the National Police Service of Canada and accept the investigative report from the assembled citizens. The RCMP must undertake a fair, transparent, and independent investigation, and to make the findings of that investigation known without redaction or political interference. We are giving this once proud institution a chance to redeem itself in the eyes of the only people who matter, the citizens of Canada. Not the tin-plated dictators in Ottawa. This gathering is only the first of thousands of these gatherings that are now being planned nationwide. This historic gathering here in Winnipeg, the center of Canada, will act as a catalyst for similar events, and it will spread out across the country in thousands of communities. And these gatherings will wake up those Canadians who are still asleep. Now, it is up to the RCMP. We gave the RCMP full disclosure weeks in advance that we were coming and what we were asking for. Many of you saw those letters. I posted them online. We sent registered letters to both the RCMP and the City of Winnipeg Police. We have had no response. It is up to the RCMP to turn the situation around and redeem themselves to our community. We are your neighbors, your brothers and sisters, and yes, we are your children and grandchildren, and we are watching you. The eyes of the nation are watching here in Winnipeg on this long weekend.
We're always watching. Always watching.
Thank you.
Yes.
The long-term fate of the RCMP as a Canadian iconic institution is being decided now by your actions. Make no mistake, we are not, what we are going through is not a revolution by a fringe minority. Look around you. What do you see? Moms, dads, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, grandmothers. I even see some grandchildren. I see people who love this nation and who are positive sacrificing their lives to wait for the RCMP to catch up to us. To catch up to us and to be a part of the resurrection of truth and justice in Canada. What we are seeing in Canada is the evolution of a failing society and the awakening of a new national consciousness. Revolutions can fail, but evolution is a non-stoppable force. Be the RCMP. If you do not become part of this righteous evolution, you will forever be cast aside and relegated to a small footnote in the new history we are all now writing. It is up to you. This is not an easy path, but it is the right path. The path that leads towards a free and just nation. This is your opportunity to join with us together. We can lead the way for the world.
Yep. That's right.
Canada, this precious land to which our ancestors fled and settled for the express purpose of living in freedom to speak, work, grow, love, live, and give our dear Canada from far and wide. We will stand on guard for thee. Thank you, everyone. God bless you all, and God bless our beloved Canada.
Not any of the money
The
in the
next
world.
speaker
Yeah, there you
is going to be the representative from the RCMP. I would do it, but you had to already put up with me for 20 minutes. But just for those of you who do not know, we sent letters to the RCMP new commissioner in Manitoba inviting them to send a spokesman and address the crowd. We guaranteed his safety or her safety, and we guaranteed a peaceful event. And the RCMP, they're filming up there? Oh, I know that, yeah. Let's move on. Your tax dollars are hard at work right now. Overtime, I would guess. Your next presentation is from retired Winnipeg police officer Chris Riddell, representing Police for Freedom.
First of all, thanks for coming out, everybody. Good to see everybody out here. This is fantastic. Louder? Is that better? Okay. Driving in, I don't know, this is good. Driving in today from out of town, I told my girlfriend, I said, write this down on the top of my speech. And I want to just mention that it's, can you defend what you believe? That's how we find out what the truth actually is. We make sure we can defend what we believe. If somebody believes something and they can't defend it, maybe they better check that out. So I just wanted to mention that first. So when I was a kid, my parents had friends who were police officers. They lived in the community. We knew their families. They'd come by the farm, sit at the kitchen table, drink coffee, talk about friends and family, farming, sports, and tell their police stories. My dad played baseball and hockey with these men, and they were genuine, normal people, just like the vast majority of the population. They were great members of the community, helping out, coaching kids, teaching Sunday school. On days off, they could be seen working in the farmer's field right alongside the farmer. Their kids went to school with us, played sports with us, went to the same church as us. Always well-mannered, respectable kids, obviously being raised properly. When I became a police officer, that didn't change. I didn't know it at the time, but I've been accepted into a large, loving family of humble, helpful, brave, giving, solid people, just like the ones I grew up around. We all wanted to help people. We all knew the difference between right and wrong, and we were all willing to run towards trouble, not away from it. And we all learned to ask questions until we knew both sides of the story.
Yep.
None of us wanted to arrest the wrong person. And we were not trained to ignore phone messages and emails, hoping the caller would just stop calling and go away. I missed that day. Our job was to help find and provide solutions to people's problems when they called us. And we couldn't leave until we'd done so. We're fixers. That's what we are. The very best of us were extremely curious about every little detail when it came to gathering evidence to identify right and wrong and be able to confirm it in a court of law if required. I believe that if one of us witnessed some wrongdoing, no matter where, no matter when, whether we were on duty or off duty, it was never ignored. The majority of us knew for decades the real stories behind the slant and spin that the mainstream media would use to manipulate the public, because we were the ones that were at the scenes of these incidents. Those people I worked with are still my friends today. Plenty of us are retired, but we still go fishing, golfing, and camping, and our families still get together. We go to the weddings of each other's kids. And this is true no matter which of the 160 plus police departments across Canada that you worked in. So I believe the young police officers of today have the same moral fiber. So my question is, what happened? After becoming aware of this report and reading it, and learning of the Citizens for Truth delivering this report to over 100 police stations and detachments all over the province, I offered to help. I volunteered to follow up with the Winnipeg Police Service and the main RCMP headquarters in Manitoba that we've attended here today. So that's what I did. I was also very curious as to what had been done with those 100 plus reports. Over 70 had which went to RCMP detachments by registered mail. After several months, I'd have to admit I was not very good at this task. Since the beginning of this situation, the law enforcement officers of Canada were being ordered to take a needle if they wanted to remain on the job. They were being ordered to fine and arrest people for things such as attending gatherings, going to church, not wearing a mask, not staying a certain distance apart, gathering to protest these unreasonable orders. So do we believe that these highly trained, curious investigators who reluctantly or willingly had their BS detectors finally honed from their own years of experience just decided to quit asking questions and just do what they were told, even though none of it made any sense at all? There's never been a time in history when it's been easier to gather information to support or debunk any claim out there. If the police, RCMP, or Winnipeg Service had accepted the report and assigned an officer to look into that, they could have told me. It never happened. If the police had accepted the report and forwarded it to a major crimes division for analysis and investigation, they could have told me that. Never happened. If the police had accepted the report, looked it over, sent it to the Crown Attorney's Office of Manitoba for an opinion, they could have told me that. Never happened.
Shame! Shame on them! Shame on them! Yes!
So,
Shame on them! Frank!
Yeah, you're right. This 89-page report, so brilliantly put together, is put together using information from the government's own data and statistics. You won't find any outside opinion. You won't find any expert opinion. It's just the government's own data and statistics. So is it possible that police are mum on this report because they are concerned more about paychecks, pensions, promotions? I believe the thousands of former law enforcement officers across the country, I'm talking about the former law enforcement officers, can now help the active law enforcement officers by standing behind this information. And supporting an investigation into the wrongdoing of the order givers in this country. There are a large number of us out there. Police for Freedom, Police on Guard, Veterans for Freedom, Mounties for Freedom, and numerous others. I said Mounties for Freedom, you guys. Every law enforcement officer in this country has to go home at the end of the shift, look in the mirror, and they got to know something's not right here. Of what you're being asked to do, which may be against the oath you swore to, or the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I personally refuse to believe that all the fine people that wear the uniform all choose to believe the mainstream media about all that's gone on for the last few years. We never believed them before, as I said. The misleading stories about a bunch of truckers going to Ottawa. The misleading stories about a bunch of farmers in Alberta. The misleading stories about business owners across the country. The misleading stories about the churchgoers and their church leaders. The misleading stories about the average Canadians who are trying to spread the truth with reports such as this one. And the misleading stories causing fear that they are spreading as directed by the order givers. It's that simple. Our people in blue are the order takers. If the order takers would accept this report, review, analyze, and investigate the facts within, they would question the order givers' legitimacy. And in that point, this all comes to a screeching halt, folks. Standing behind the truth is not easy. We've become separated and estranged from family members, friends, co-workers. We've lost careers, the ability to travel, and a number of other of our God-given freedoms. But when we stand behind the truth, we can sleep soundly. We can look at the smiles of our children and grandchildren and know in our hearts we're doing the right thing. I'm going to end this by reading you a tribute to police officers by Paul Harvey, a radio announcer from the 70s whose policeman father was killed on duty. A policeman is a composite of what all men are. I guess a mingling of a saint and sinner, dust and deity. Cult statistics wave the fan over the stinkers, underscore instances of dishonesty and brutality, because that's news. What that really means is that they are exceptional. They are unusual. They're not commonplace. Buried under that froth is the fact, and the fact is that less than 0.5% of policemen misfit that uniform. And that's a better average than you'll find among clergymen. What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted, a strangely nameless creature who is sir to his face and pig or worse behind his back. He must be such a diplomat that he can settle differences between individuals so that each will think they won. But if a policeman is neat, he's conceited. If he's careless, he's a bum. If he's pleasant, he's a flirt. If he's not, he's a grouch. He must make instant decisions which would require months for a lawyer. But if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be first to an accident, infallible with a diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limp or expect to be sued. The police officer must know every gun, draw on the run, and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform. And without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. A policeman must know everything and not tell. He must know where all of the sin is. He must know where all the sin is and not partake. The policeman, from a single human hair, must be able to describe the crime, the weapon, the criminal, and tell you where the criminal's hiding. But if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dunce. If he gets promoted, he has political pull. If he doesn't, he's a dullard. The policeman must chase bum leads to a dead end, stake out 10 nights to tag one witness who saw it happen but refuses to remember. He runs files and writes reports until his eyes ache to build a case against some felon who will get dealed out by a shameless lawyer or an honorable who isn't honorable. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, and a gentleman. Thank you, everybody.
Now, our next speaker is Tamara Woods. She's with Stand United.
Thank you very much for that, guys. Thanks for all coming out to me, guys. This is wonderful. I, of course, did not write anything, because that's not what I do. I don't really come prepared when it comes to my passion, because my passion runs deep every single day, every single moment. And that passion actually ran really, really good on Thursday when I got to see Justin Trudeau over at the university. I can't believe the amount of trucks he had come with him. I'm shaking right now, you guys. This is insane to see the energy here today. I don't really do this very often, but this is the second time I've been asked to do this today, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for having me out today. Stand United, I am working with Riddell, and she's asked me to just kind of go over a few things of what Stand United is doing here. The initiative is to educate Canadian citizens that informed consent is law in Canada. We do believe this will be positive trickle-down effect government institutions, businesses, corporations, and the health and educational institutions. We have taken it upon ourselves to infringe upon our God-given human rights. This is a violation of Canada Criminal Code of Canada. I'm going to step back in the shade because I can't read. The nation was founded upon our values and our honor of the Bill of Rights as what defines our standards of living together in harmony. Please take these words for what Stand United is and will always be. We truly believe we can make a tremendous amount of progress standing united. I cannot explain to you guys that right now, being together united as one is so important. We need to put aside any of our differences. Man, woman, child, grandfather, grandma, auntie, you name it. We all have to come together for what we believe in. I don't care if you guys are happy with each other or not, because at the end of the day, we're going to be needing to stand together for what we believe in. You guys, I just can't explain enough how to be unified it is. The time is right now. I'm shaking, you guys. I have so much passion. And what I want you guys to do is use the passion that I show and I put into you guys and take it and run with it. Every single day, I try to find a police officer, a person of uniform, and I try to talk to them. And that's exactly what I did outside of Trudeau's little entourage. I walked with my flag, proud, right in front of all of them wearing their uniforms. And I asked each and every one of them to give me their uniform because they're not using it properly. I never knew that once I carried a Canadian flag that I became public enemy number one. I walk up and down the street, I get people telling me to go home, go away and, stop doing what I'm doing, but I'll never stop. I will never stop speaking to every single person I meet in my day. And I want you all to do that too. I want you to take what you're passionate about, and I want you to educate. Educate on what you believe in. If it's masks, vaccines, God, whatever it is that you guys are so passionate about, why you're standing here today. Take it and educate, educate, educate. And please do me a favor and start speaking to these people in uniform because they don't scare me. And I really wish they were out here today. Because you know what? It'd be nice to actually have a conversation like I did on Thursday. There was one police officer that actually stood there and conversated with me. And I could see that he's tired. He's tired in his eyes. He said, it's not because of this. And I said, I'm going to call your bluff, bud. Because you're here protecting Trudeau. Yeah. Trudeau. That must be tiring to do that because you're actually upholding something that I actually don't believe in. But you know what? At the end of this conversation, he was with me. He went with me. I said to him, you know what? I want that uniform because you know what? I'm wearing my uniform proud, and that's my flag. It's pretty funny that I wear a flag as a uniform, and he can't even use his uniform right. Can't even use his uniform. But at the end of that conversation, I reminded who I was. And my name is Tamara Woods, RCMP. Please come out here and have some conversations because I'm not afraid to speak my truth. I'm not afraid to tell you you're doing your job wrong. One day I will have that uniform. I don't know what uniform it's going to look like. It's going to probably be a huge flag wrapped around me. But I'm going to be doing what they need to do. And that's advocating for my humans and the people of Canada. Today, tomorrow, and always, I will forever speak my truth. And I want you all to do the same. Don't go quiet. Do not go silent. If you need to sit to rest, you sit down and you rest. But you get back up and you keep going. And you keep bringing everybody with you, even if they're dragging behind you. You stand up and you keep moving. Moving and talking. And if I hear you guys go silent, I will be calling every one of you out. Please do me that favor and start educating and start grabbing these people in uniform because eventually it's going to affect them. And when this affects them, they're going to say to us, we should have listened. And we're going to say, yep, you should have listened to us because now it's affecting them. On that note, happy Saturday, happy long weekend. Thank you all for coming out here today. Thank you for everybody's work, and thanks for doing what you do. I love you all. I want you to smile because you're all beautiful. Love you.
Here is a very well-known broadcaster, patriot, true Winnipegger, Shadoe Davis. You know, a lot of this happened because of Shadoe. I think he was the first local person that took notice of what we were doing and support us. So if everyone knows who he is, please welcome Shadoe Davis.
Thank you, Ken, for that lovely welcome. And I would like everybody, first of all, this is going to be more of an intimate and interactive chat. And I've been making my way through the crowd, and I know that you guys can't really hear so well in the back. So if everybody could maybe take 2 steps closer. I understand that some people are recording and broadcasting this live. Here's Todd from Winnipeg Alternative Media right here. Let's give him a round of applause. Todd and Wham have been actively involved in our fight, guys, and I think they deserve some acknowledgement as well.
Hey, Todd!
Yeah. It's okay to get closer still. I know that a couple of you guys took a couple of steps forward, but that's not enough because I need you all to hear what I'm saying here today. Yeah. And I would like to thank all the other speakers for being so fiery and passionate about our freedom because that's what we need. Yeah. We need more people like us. So how do we get them? Oh, hang on 1 second. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but there is somebody up there taking photos of us behind the smoked glass. So let's wave and say hello. Up there as well? I mean, if you're going to get a picture of your face, you may as well be freaking smiling, right? Okay, guys. I know that a lot of people who are in attendance today, and again, thank you all for coming. I know it's a long weekend. And I know you probably had other plans or maybe some better things to do. No. Okay, that's good. I'm happy to get that reaction from you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Now, I know that a lot of people here today come from different factions of the freedom movement. There's a lot of faces here today that I haven't seen before, and that is absolutely fantastic. So thank you for showing. I love seeing new faces. Oh, before I forget, let's give a big hello and warm welcome to the Grim Reaper across the street. Even though the Grim Reaper has been against us since the beginning of all of this, you do have to admire his or her personal dedication to the cause. You see, that's what we're all about, you guys. We all are about freedom of expression. We are all about freedom of speech, and we want everybody to be able to say their piece and handle things the way they want to handle them, as long as they don't get hurt doing it. Right? As long as they don't get other people hurt doing it. So, getting back to this division that people have been emailing me about and messaging me about every single day. You're causing division, Shadoe Davis. And I say, okay, how am I doing that? And they say, because you call out certain members. And I say, look, ultimately, what we are all doing, whether we're doing it one way, or another way, or another way, or another way over there, right? Look at what Ken did. He put together a report. It took him weeks to put this thing together. 78 pages. Then he went about, after putting all of these facts together from government websites, by the way, then he went about the mission of getting it out there to us, the people. We took it from there. We did that. Okay, all of us did that. That's what Ken did. Other people are doing it different ways. We've got people hosting rallies still. That is absolutely fantastic. Freedom! Why is this important? Because you can't fight this battle in just one way. We're all unified whether we know it or not. Right? I mean, we could sit there and go, well, Bob's an ass, and Cindy, she's a bag. Because she's not doing it the way I want to do it. And that's supposed to be the division in our group. Right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, what's going to happen when that moment comes, and we know that moment is going to come? It's probably going to come at some point this winter. What are you guys expecting this winter? We're expecting lockdowns, possibly, right? I mean, yesterday, I think it was in Argentina, there was a report of a brand new mysterious COVID-like virus that has killed 3 people already, and 6 people are sick with it for a total of 9 infections. Oh no! Are they going to start all over again with a brand new virus? Maybe. Are they going to bring back polio, like Ken said before? Probably. Are they going to try another strain of COVID-19? Abso-freaking-lutely. And what are we going to do about it this time? I was disappointed last time, guys. I was disappointed when the lockdowns happened with the business owners. I thought there is absolutely no way that these business owners are all going to just sit back and take it up the wazoo. Well, their businesses almost went under, and guess what? They did. But this was more of a government issue thing that came down from restaurant associations, business associations, unions, all over the place. They were all for it. They had no choice but to do what they did, or else their businesses would have gone under. Okay, fine. Fine. We'll give them a pass this one time. But if you do that again, guys, then we've got a problem. As far as getting you people on board, what have we all been doing about it? Okay, so share the videos. What else? Educating. How do we do that?
With love.
Say again?
With love.
With love, absolutely. Okay, so we can't walk up to somebody and go, "Why are you wearing that mask? What's the matter with you? You're the problem."
Education. True.
I know it might make you feel good for a moment, but then after that, don't you feel like a bit of a knob?
Yeah.
I do. because that's the way my parents brought me up. We've got manners. And we're going to attract more flies with honey than we do with vinegar. Every single time. The way I break it down is the same way a lot of the guys on Veterans for Freedom broke it down, and that is this. And I think, by the way, before I get into this, because this is an old summation that I've got in my brain here, 20% of people in this country are with us. 20% of the people in this country are branch COVIDians still, completely dedicated to the virus and the government response to the virus. And then you've got that middle ground. 60% of those people are living in bubbles right now. They don't want to hear it. They do not want to talk to you about it. They want to live their lives. They want to be left alone. They want to drink their beer. They want to watch their football games. They want to have a steak. They want to have a barbecue. They want to have some friends over. They don't care what you have to say.
Yep.
Right? It's a tough nut to crack. But, and this is something a lot of people message me about, and I say, well, what did you expect? And here it is. So last night I'm at my buddy Fred's place, and we're having some beers in the backyard, and there's like 5 of them, and they're all kind of laughing at me because I'm a free-dome guy, right? And they said, "Thumb D-U-M-B," because that's what they've been doing. That's the latest tactic on us. I'm sure you've seen that. So I said, well, what do you do then? Dude said, well, you know, I tried to talk to them, and I said, okay, that's your first mistake. You cannot talk to a group of them. You may as well say, hey, guess what? An alien landed in my yard last night and did sexual experiments on me, and I'm sorry if there's kids here in the crowd. One day you'll understand what I meant. Right? So we can't do that. That's exactly how they see our point. They see it as aliens, or they see it as Bigfoot, or the Loch Ness Monster. They see us as conspiracy theorists still, even though we know better than that. And I do find, by the way, guys, that my numbers 20, 60, 20 are changing now, probably more to 30, 60, 10. The reason for that is you guys have been getting it out there. You guys have been spreading the message. What I would like everybody to do is to develop a 30-second elevator speech. This is what they use in sales, and it's absolutely an amazing tool to use. What can you say to somebody in 30 seconds that it's going to get them at least interested in what you have to say? Is there a baby in the crowd? Well, hello, baby. Hi, baby. How are you? We don't want you to grow up in abject poverty and freedom. Tyranny. We want you to grow up in freedom. That's why we're here, right? I mean, look, man, I'm 57 years old. I might have 20 good years left, and then... So I could do 20 years in a gulag. I don't care. I worry about them more than anything else. I've got a grandson. I've got a son. They still got a whole bunch of years in front of them, and I want to make sure they live them in freedom, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. Develop a 30-second elevator speech. 30 seconds. That's all it takes. And if you can do that, then what you should be able to do by now, if you guys watched my show at all in the last couple of years, you should be armed with facts. As a matter of fact, you might surprise yourself at how much you know about what the hell's going on without having to read it off a piece of paper. Right? What do you know about all this? What do you know about climate change? How do you say to somebody that it's all a bunch of crap? There's 3 things that you can say. The first one is, if climate change is such a large issue, why has Justin Trudeau been flying around in a private jet all across the country for the past 2 months, plus a trip down to South America? He has left a larger carbon footprint in the last 2 months than all of us gathered here today will leave in our entire lifetimes. How does that make any sense? Why does Barack Obama have a mansion on the coast in New York? Not New York. Martha's Vineyard, that's right. I think that's Rhode Island, am I right? I don't care, whatever state it's in. If the oceans were rising, would you be stupid enough to buy a $1.9 million mansion on the coast Probably not. What is the largest country in terms of emitting these deadly CO2 gases? China. Has anybody spoken to China at all about maybe, getting rid of some of those coal plants? Probably not. Has Greta Thunberg been over there berating Chinese leadership? No, because she'd be in shackles in some gulag if she did that. So those three things, right? You can talk to any climate enthusiast out there, right? And you say, what about these three things? These two of them are some of the loudest climate change advocates on the planet, and they break their own rules constantly. Pardon me? It's not a planet? Oh, so you're one of the flat guys? Okay. That's fine. That's okay. You want to know what? Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But I'm not going to disparage that at all, my friend. I'm sure you've got reasons behind that belief. If you're not just pulling my leg, that is. Okay, good. Guys, I want to wrap it up because a lot of other people have been messaging me in the past little while about where's all the men. There are a lot here. So I'm happy that the dudes are here today. You know, guys, I worry because I check the statistics of my show every now and again, and I see that it's 70% women and 30% guys. And considering the subject matter on the show, I'm thinking that maybe we could be at least 50-50 on that. But it seems to me that a lot of guys have maybe been worn down in the past few years because of all this BS that's been going on regarding toxic masculinity and whatnot, right? So maybe a lot of the alpha guys have kind of sat down and said, I really don't want to do much here. I know what I believe, but I just can't say it. My buddies are they're really gonna knock the piss out of me here. So I don't want to take that chance. You see, that's the biggest thing that we all have to realize. The biggest thing that we all have to realize is once we get the nerve to speak out, then it's easy to do it. It's like going into a pool filled with freezing water, right? How do you go into a pool with freezing water? What do you guys do? You don't just wade right in there like that, right? And then go, oh, I can't do this, man, I'm getting up. What do? You jump right in. Makes it easy. After about 15 seconds, it feels normal, doesn't it? That's the exact same approach we need to take when it comes to speaking out on all of this. There's something that I've been talking about a little bit on my show lately. I'm going to see if I can find it here because it's pretty important. The men who wanted to be left alone. All right? And this is why I worry about the guys. But I know that when that moment comes, as I've been talking about for weeks on the show, and I did a little bit here today, the moment will be coming. We know every different faction of our freedom movement is going to stand up, and we're all going to do it. We're all going to do what we need to do. All right? Including the men who wanted to be left alone. The most terrifying force of death comes from the hands of the men who wanted to be left alone. They tried very hard to mind their own business and provide for themselves and the ones they love. They resist every impulse to fight back, knowing the force and permanent change of life that will come from it. And we know that once we speak up, our lives are never going to be the same again, don't we? And a lot of people are afraid of abandoning what was for what's coming. But you want to know what? We have to face facts here. It's not going to go back to the way it was 3 or 4 years ago. It's not happening. All right? Nor should it. You're absolutely right. But it's going to end one of two ways, you guys.
That's right.
Okay? We're here to make sure it ends in our favor. The moment the men who wanted to be left alone are forced to fight back, it's a form of suicide. They're literally killing off who they used to be. Which is why, when forced to take up violence or some other way of fighting back, these men who wanted to be left alone fight with unholy vengeance against those who murdered their former lives. They fight with raw hatred and a drive that cannot be fathomed by those who are merely play acting in politics and terror. True terror will arrive at these people's doors and they will cry. and they will scream and beg. But it will fall upon deaf ears of the men who wanted to be left alone. I have full faith that when the time comes, those men will rise up. We will all rise up. Every different faction of the freedom movement will rise up. We will stand together and we will be victorious. If you find yourself wavering from time to time with your faith, just remember that you've always got somebody who's got your back. This crowd is just a small example of that. Okay, guys? We all need to stand together here now. We all need to stand together, unite. All right? No matter what that faction says, no matter what that faction says or that faction says, ultimately we are fighting together. After we win, you can go back to hating each other then. Love you all. Thank you for coming.
The next person coming up is retired police officer James Erskine.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm actually not retired. I've been on Shadow's show, but I've never met him in person. A nice opportunity. I'm actually not retired. I was forced to quit because I was given a false dichotomy of options. Either stick one thing in me or be shamed into wearing a mask everywhere and stick something else into me.
Yeah, we love you, James.
Thank you.
We love you, brother. We love you. You're great. You're real.
I don't want to take too much time here, but I want to make a couple comments on stoicism. And I think that one of the things that stands out to me here, Ken mentioned Vimy Ridge, my son, my 11-year-old son at the time, and I had the opportunity to go to Vimy in 2017 for the 100th anniversary. And we stood in a place where my great-grandfather's blood was shed. And I think if you go through this crowd, you'll find that there's probably a lot of your family's blood on foreign shores because of this flag, because of this country.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of stoicism that's supposed to come with a uniform that you wear for a purpose. Behind you there's a Mountie, photo of a Mountie, and he's bowed his head in honor of his fallen comrades. And the idea here is that there's something that they died for. It wasn't just random, and it wasn't just something to be thrown away. The Mounties now have got a proud history. Policing has got a proud history in this country. I started in 2011, right when the narrative was that the police were evil and everything that they did was wrong. And I can tell you right now that I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of cops, thousands of cops, and there are some bad eggs, but the vast majority of them are good people. I was on a shift, my exit from policing, I was on a shift with, out of 20 people, 6 of them didn't want to get jabbed, and the remainder of them still had respect for me. I was well respected. The narrative about cops coming down on people, what is happening, what they're doing is over the past 10 years, they've turned the people against the police, and now they're switching and they're going to try and turn the police against the people. That's nonsense. I was in major crimes for 3 years, that same major crimes that called Ken. I wasn't in major crimes when that was happening, Ken. I've made 650 career arrests. I was a hard-working cop, I was an honest cop, and I was the one who you wanted to show up to your family's problem. And there are a ton of cops, the vast majority of cops behave that way. This here is real evidence of real crimes. And my challenge to police who might be watching this, I'll tell these guys here, I know I've sat behind a camera, I've sat behind a computer trying to ID people. My name is James Matthew Erskine, 830709. My badge number was 2902. I'm still on niche, I'm sure, if you can pull it up from the records. My fingerprints are on file if you guys want those. because we get fingerprinted, not because of crimes I've committed.
God bless you.
I'm not ashamed to sit here and say what is true. The only answer to a lie is the truth. And the more that you hear these lies, the more that you turn on any of these nonsense media outlets and you see that not a single one of the stories has any truth to it whatsoever. They can lie about the simplest thing. They can be at a backyard barbecue and they can tell you they were eating chicken instead of steak. They are liars. The commissioners in RCMP, the RCMP commissioners are having a heck of a time because of the nonsense that's gone on politically. The police are supposed to be stoic. They are meant to be people who uphold the law despite politics, and they are being turned into politicians themselves at the highest levels. The average street cop who's fighting it out and getting covered in shit and blood is not the enemy here. The people who are taking the buyouts and the commissioners are the problem. So the last thing I'll say is that, again, I've made 650 arrests. I was a warrant writer. I know a lot about the law, and I was a very good cop. And if these guys here are having a hard time putting this together, you guys can find me. My number's in the computer, right? You guys can find me. My address. There's a ton of cops in District 2 here in Winnipeg who know exactly where I live. Come find me, and we don't have to do this with all of us on your front porch. We can have an honest conversation, because I'm part of the brotherhood that has shed tears over fallen cops.
Amen!
And I'm not the enemy of the police, but they need to do the right thing.
That's right! Thank you, James! Thank you!
That's part of the intent here. You know, that's part of the agenda, to get rid of the good people with courage and commitment across all walks of life. The police, the doctors, the nurses, the border guards, the plumbers, everybody. That's the idea. They want robots.
Yep.
I was told to tell you that we figure there's about 1,000 people here today. Thank you. You know, it's an interesting thing. Everybody's pointing this way and that way, and I'm sure that tree there is probably an RCMP with a video camera. But what I find interesting about this is they're going through such an effort. They're climbing on the roof. They're in the windows. They're under the thing. They're in the trees. Well, but they're making their own evidence, and that's fine, but they can't come and take it when it's served to them in writing.
We're trying to make a decision!
Now we have one more speaker, and I'm going to change things a little bit. I want to talk. I just want to explain that I know what's going to happen. I mean, the big finale here is everybody coming up in a line and coming to that door over there, and knocking and putting, and if they don't come, you're going to put it down in a neat pile. And I know if I let that happen first and do the prayer after, you won't hear the prayer because you're going to be gone. You're going to go to Walter Hebert's over at Camp Hope for dinner. So, after our next speaker, believe it or not, I'm going to do the closing prayer, but then please, we'll line up here and we'll go up and we'll deliver the reports. When we're done piling, I want to put a Canadian flag on it. Now, mine's in the car. Sorry? Oh, perfect. So we're changing it a little bit, and then afterwards, anybody who wants, please come out to Walters. If you haven't been there, Camp Hope 25055 Settlers Road in Dougal. It's just past the gas station on Highway number 1 there, east of Winnipeg. You know, I said Deacon's Corner. My brother said, no, that's up past Beausejour. What's that one called? Deacon's Corner. Right. Wherever he is. Now, the next speaker is a 9/11 operator. I won't tell that person's story, but she can come up, please, and let us know your
Nothing like the pressure of being the last speaker.
We love you all. Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm super nervous. Right to my mouth here. Okay. So I'm actually a Winnipeg police dispatcher. I'll just. Okay.
Come closer.
Gotcha. Right here.
Come on in.
Okay. My hands are tingling. I'm so nervous right now.
Yeah, so good. You're great. You got this. Let's go.
Thanks for being here.
You got it. There you go.
Yeah. Louder. Okay. So I'm just going to basically explain my situation here. We've all been in the same boat for the past 2.5 years with the unnecessary and unjustifiable nonsense. So I don't presume that I've had the worst of this compared to everybody here. So I don't tell my story for sympathy. It's meant to be a note of encouragement and hope for people. So I've been with the WPS in the comm center for the past 8 years. The first 5 as a call taker, 911 operator, and the last 3 as a dispatcher. It was my dream job.
Yeah, we love you all. Thanks for being here.
I love what I did. I love going to work every day. I love being able to serve my community in that capacity. To be there for them in their most trying times. I love being on the other end of the radio, doing my part to assist the units in keeping my officers safe. Every year we'd have transfers where we could end up on another shift. Usually we would sit down with our new supervisor and they'd ask us questions, get to know us. Often they'd ask about our aspirations, if we wanted to move anywhere else in the service, and my answer was always the same. I would be more than happy to die at my dispatch pod. I had no desire to transfer out to any other division. This job was created for me. I was created for the job. It's what I was meant to do. It was my heart. You would have been extremely hard-pressed to find someone more proud to be a part of the service than myself, to find someone more loyal and more dedicated. In my entire 8 years of the service, I had taken a total of just 3 days sick. I always showed up. I stayed overtime when I could. I handmade personalized gifts for my entire shift as an anonymous elf when we had to leave our families and work Christmas. If you break my finger, I would bleed brutal. And unfortunately, that's no longer the case, and my faith in the service and all it claims to stand for has been shattered. It's become the ex that I loved and thought I knew, but was actually living a double life, masquerading as something it wasn't.
Yeah, you saw it.
At the very beginning of this thing we call the pandemic, it became clear to me that my statement about dying at my dispatch pod was not going to happen. When unreasonable mandates came into effect and policy changes started coming out telling us to enter ridiculous calls, I knew it wasn't a matter of if, but when, and I was going to be forced to choose between standing for what I knew was right and the job that I loved with all of my being. It wasn't an easy choice in that it was difficult to accept that I was going to have something so precious taken from me. But at the same time, it was an easy choice, as there was no other option. This leadership just wasn't an option.
Yeah, we love you all. Thanks for everybody, guys.
I'm sure most of you are familiar with Martin Luther King Jr. quote, "When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty." It was my duty to resist. And if it meant sacrificing my take my job, then that's what going to happen. Berate me, belittle me, call on an entire country to not tolerate me. But ultimately, I don't fear man who only has power to kill the body. I fear the one who has power over the body and soul to cast it into hell. This world is going to burn, and not because of climate change. Get your soul right with God. Repent of your sins and trust in Christ's sacrificial death, which is able to remove your sins as far as east is from the west, so they're remembered no more. That's where you'll find true peace and true hope. Absolutely continue to push back evil by refusing to submit to unjust and harmful orders, and continue to present everyone with the truth, and let each man be responsible for himself and his own conduct. But know that today is the day, and now is the hour of salvation. May each of you find peace in knowing that God is in control, and no matter how everything goes down, may your eternal soul be at peace with Him, who is our strength and our refuge, our very present help in times of trouble.
Thank you so much. She stood here shaking you guys. She stood here shaking. You did a great job. Thank you.
How about the next mayor of Winnipeg? Once again, we're just about wrapped up. I'm just going to do the prayer, and then I'd like everybody to line up. Everybody who's brought a report, everybody who hasn't brought a report, single file up to the door here. They're not there, so they're not going to receive it, but we're going to put the report on it. If you don't have one, put your hand on the pile of reports as they stack up. Once you go through the line, please go where you like, but I invite you over to Camp Hope tonight. It's going to be great. I'd like to shake everybody's hand there tonight. So this is promised you the closing prayer. It's called Symbols, Light, and Truth. And it talks a little bit about what we expect to come here. The RCMP as an organization is simply a symbol of a corrupt system that has been blinded by bureaucracy and politics. It is simply a symbol. The symbol is only given power by the Canadian people. Right. We, the people, are what gives them significance. Serving the RCMP with the investigative report on its own has no meaning. However, when enough people show up and serve the investigative report to the RCMP, everything can change. All of the actions taken this day will define the Canadian people. It will define for the Canadian people a way forward and a way to bring the crimes of this government, both past and present, to the light. That's right! The light I'm speaking about is the light of truth. Yeah. That's why you're wearing those shirts, the light of truth. Although one person holding the light can be extinguished in a moment, with the right number of people, the light will blind the guilty and cleanse the country of the corruption that has drained us of our God-given rights and prosperity. So when you lay down to sleep tonight, sleep with the calm of an angel and awaken in the morning ready to take up the light of truth and vanquish this darkness forever. Yeah. God bless you all. God bless our Canada strong and free. Thank you. Okay, everybody, let's start the lineup. You can ride up behind me if you want.
Alright, so hopefully everybody got to hear all the speakers all good. Looks like the feed went well there for everybody. And I'm going to get up right to the doors right now and watch this happen.
How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. It was grace was my fears relieved. How precious, precious did that grace appear. The hour that I first believed. Oh, through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. His grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we get there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing about God's amazing grace than when we first begun. Such amazing grace. How The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. He makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul and leads me into his paths of righteousness. The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Oh, the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. My cup overflows. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. lie down in green pastures, and you lead me beside the still water. You restore my soul. You restore my soul. He has restored my soul. He has restored my soul. He has restored my soul. The Lord is my shepherd. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine every day. I'm gonna let my little light shine. Oh, hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Hey, hey, hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine every day. I'm gonna let my little light shine. Won't let nobody blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. No, won't let nobody blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Hey, hey, won't let nobody blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine every day. I'm gonna let my little light shine. On Monday, he gave me the gift of love. On Tuesday, peace came from above. walking, just walking.
I know that I am weak, but thou art strong. So Jesus, keep me from all wrong. Oh, I'll be satisfied as long as I walk and the walk goes to thee. Oh, just a closer walk with thee. That's my plea. Oh, daily walking close to thee. Oh, let it be, my Lord. Let it be. Oh, let it be. Through this world of toils and snares, I falter, Lord, who really cares? Who with me, yeah, my heavy burden bears? Nobody but thee, Lord, nobody but you. Just a closer walk with thee. Jesus, that's my